Hello everybody and welcome to the first of hopefully many DokuraRS YouTube videos. So, this is going to be a simple challenge. Well, I say simple challenge. It sounds simple, but actually it was an absolute nightmare. Which is it actually possible to complete a full Elite Dungeons Trilogy in Legacy Combat Mode using only melee? And we're also going to ask at some point, why the hell am I doing this to myself? So, obviously there's going to be a few issues with regards to actually doing these runs. Now, the footage has all been taken, all the clips have been taken from my Twitch stream, which is DokuraRS. There is a link in the description below. So, as you can see, I've actually just got it all sped up because it took a long period of time. I ended up streaming for about 9 hours to get this entire challenge done. It was an absolute pain. It really was difficult. Just because of a few issues, mainly carrying enough food and enough prayer to actually survive for long enough for these fights. Now, that's really because obviously just the DPS in Legacy isn't that great. Now, in order to do that, we did actually have to invest in Super Sourdough Brews and Primal Feasts. Now, the Primal Feasts are absolutely phenomenal bits of food. For those of you who don't know, Primal Feasts pain to make. They take a level 115 I think, cooking to make. So you've got to have 99 cooking and then boost using an extreme cooking potion. And they heal 10,000 health per inventory slot, but you've got to open them up into 4 primal doses and then eat them. So alongside them we had the Super Sourdough Brews, which heal 7,800 per slot, and it meant that we can actually have 2 sets of healing per game take if we multi-heal. What you can see now is where I know that you don't actually have to kill all 6 of these mobs. However, what I was doing for a lot of this was just being precautious, and when opening gates, just trying to make damn sure that everything was dead, so there was nothing following me, nothing doing extra damage to myself, and not taking any unnecessary hits, as it really was vital for getting through these. So that's the first wave down. Now onto the Sanctum Guardian. Now, as far as the Sanctum Guardian is concerned, mechanically it wasn't that much of a challenge. There's not that much going on. It's pretty much camp, pray, range, move out of the way of the beam, and make sure that you place the smokes away from yourself. So we've opened with the Zara's Godsword spec, and then we've gone straight for the Dragon Dagger special attacks just to try and DPS as hard as we can, even though it's on a Legacy. We did use the Ring of Vigor switch, even though in Legacy, just to allow that special attack cost to be less. And the Adrenaline Renewal Potions, again, just really allow us to make sure we utilise that special attack as much as possible. Beyond that, it really was just a case of making sure we timed it right for running those smokes away, and didn't take too many big risks with regards to it, and just kept your HP nice and full just in case any mistakes were made. And beam did hit you. Really was good fun was this particular one. I never really fought Sanctum Guardian much, and before this I think it was okay. So this was actually my 3rd ED1 solo, and it was in Legacy, so it was a challenge, I can't deny that, but it was good fun. Again, the minions, it was just a case of tanking them. Obviously you can't kill them, but you know, you've got a large amount of HP to get through. Well, I say a large amount of HP. As far as Legacy is concerned, it's a large amount of HP. Now, I did notice a bit at this point in the fight that I was starting to box myself in, probably a bit too much. I kind of just stuck with it and went with it, and started doing quick maths in my head and wondering if I would actually be able to get it down before I was completely boxed in and consequently, you know, screwed. I took a guess and thought that I was. We got lucky. I'll be honest, we did get lucky because we did actually end up getting the Sanctum Guardian kill, which is just fantastic. And that's the first out of 9 bosses done. As for this full challenge, we do have 9 bosses. Each video, however, is only going to be 3. And it's just going to be Elite Dungeons 1 for this full video. So if anybody's here to see the Ambassador kill, I apologise, that will be in video number 3. On to wave 2. Again, you know, it's just really taking your time is the main key here, or it was anyway for me, and just making sure you don't take any risks. Obviously, there are the rangers, I cannot remember what they're called, that have that special attack that really does hurt. For them, I may have been a bit overly cautious and used the Divine Spirit Shield and a one-handed weapon and just really taken my time to just slowly get them down and deal with that. Now, we are going to have everything during the waves at 4 times speed for playback. This is just because, you know, you don't want to be sat here for far too long. Because it really does take a long period of time to get through these waves. This was the longest wave. You've also got that room right before we get to Masuta, where you got all of the melees, which is coming up soon. That room was a horrible room. What we ended up doing for that, as you'll see, we sort of just did a conga line of making sure that things couldn't attack me. And again, just taking us time with it and doing it one by one. Obviously, normally what you'd do for that room is you stand in a corner, pile them all up, and AoE the ever-loving hell out of the guys. But that's not really an option, because the AoE damage potential of Legacy isn't that great, especially given that you've only... What, you've got the Dragon Spear... No, not the Dragon Spear, sorry, the Dragon Two-Hander, the Dragon Halberd, and the Vesta Spear are the only options really for AoE for melee for Legacy. So, not really viable given the amount of melee damage that you were taking in that room. Now, as I was saying, start carrying food, we also need to make sure we carry enough prayer for these runs. So whilst we're going through this game, what we did was we ground out making the Blessed Flask. That was hell. I personally dislike skilling of all forms, and grinding out the Blessed Flask took me a couple of weeks of doing all sorts of stupid little skilling tasks. Now, I'll be honest, it's worth it. The Blessed Flask is absolutely amazing. For those of you that don't know what it is, it holds 80 doses of extreme prayer potions. So it ends up healing a monumental amount of HP, and that's all for one inventory slot. And once you make it, it is a permanently unlocked thing. You know, it is there. It is your Blessed Flask. It really is phenomenal. It really, really is great. Again, as you can see here, though, we are in this room. We're just quickly going through these one by one at a time, using the arena to block them to make sure that conga line stays with them just walking towards us, and really just being a bit of a scaredy cat about it, just to guarantee. And I also apologise, I was sat eating a Domino's whilst making this video, so just ignore the big fat man in the top left corner sat eating pizza whilst he's doing this stuff. Again, this room with the 2 rangers and a pile of mages and some melees. Again, don't necessarily have to kill everything, but what we are doing is just making sure we're playing it safe. I did make a few mistakes during this, as you can see. I ended up with too much attacking me at once each time. I've just accepted that I made the mistake and moved, eaten up to full, and just tried to remake that conga line and then slowly just knock them down one at a time. It was a struggle bus. I did end up having to dismiss the mammoth, if I remember correctly, and yeah, there you go, just dismiss the mammoth and summon the unicorn, which is a fantastic... It's an old tactic for PVM. It's literally from when Legacy was the... wasn't even called Legacy, when that was just combat, which is you'd fill your yak up with brews and posh and food, and then at the very end of it you just stick a pile of unicorn scrolls and a unicorn familiar, just because that would hold more HP per the 2 inventory slots than anything else in the game could. Now that is still the case, obviously, depending on how long you're planning on surviving. So for all of these runs, that is exactly what I've been doing. Now, another thing that we did do is I actually expected to die a lot. So each time I was creating the inventory setup for the boss, I saved it as a preset, and then you'll see how much that was needed. Now, onto Masuta the Ascended. this fight I thought would be very problematic. Obviously, you've got his melee spinny, where he does a very high intensity of damage. You've got the mage hits that he can do. You've got the second phase of the fight with regards to where he's actually, you know, the thrashing waters and you're moving about a lot. And again, obviously, in Legacy, movability is so limited. Maneuverability. And then the final phase, you do have to deal with, again, the fact that it's ranging constantly and the massive mage hits that he can potentially do. So with this one, it really was just time. That's unfortunately going to be the key theme to all of these kills and this full run, is it's all just about time. Just taking the time to make sure that we actually get everything down and deal with it just one thing at a time. So, again, it's just do as much damage as I can, drop the Zaros Godsword special attacks, drop the Dragon Dagger special attacks inside the Zaros Godsword, and then run away when I have to, and not be afraid to just keep running away and really slowly pick away his HP. The time of the kills is the last thing that you can worry about for a challenge like this, I discovered very quickly. You can, you know, obviously in the usual RuneScape 3, you know, people put a lot on times, you know, you're all about pushing for that speed kill, pushing for that faster time. I'm terrible for it myself. But with the Legacy Challenge, I did discover that you just can't do that. It's an unrealistic thing to be doing, because it's Legacy. You've got no abilities. It really, really does suck, just Legacy for combat. But it's good fun. As you can see, you know, we're a good chunk into this fight. It's being played back at double speed, and we're still not even phasing him yet and not dealing with the thrashing waters. Now, for the thrashing waters, what we did do and what we are doing is we're just taking them again. Because of the fact that they're low HP, or they have lower HP, the Kopeshers are a much better option to use for the DPSing them down rather than the Zaros Godsword for the big hits, just because you can just slowly chip away and get that damage out faster for lower amounts. For the rest of it, yes, we have been camping the Zaros Godsword. Again, we're just going to kill off as many of these as we can, as quickly as we can, but we don't expect to really be able to kill all of them, and after that it's just a DPS race back down to making sure that you eat up full and get Masuta down. And again, it really is just that. Just watching your HP, constantly making sure you're at full HP, constantly making sure your prayer doesn't drop, and just watching Masuta get slapped, because you don't really have have any other control. Obviously, you can, you know, you watch your adrenaline, your special attack. It's not adrenaline, is it? It's a special attack bar, and you use that Zaros Godsword spec when you can. You use the Dragon Dagger special attacks when you can. Go back to the Kopeshers, go back to the Zaros Godsword and just slap him about. But other than that, it really is just almost watching them and watching your HP and making sure that you stay alive. Bit of a pain, I know. But, you know, you do keep fighting. So, we are nearly done with Masuta, thankfully. And I apologise, you've so far had 14 minutes or just about of my voice droning on, and there's more to come. I'm really sorry, because next we have Sieru, and obviously the Sieru fight is a long fight anyway. Mechanically, it takes a length of time. Now, Sieru, I genuinely thought when coming up to this challenge that Sieru was going to be the major issue. I thought I would die quite a few times at Masuta. I thought I'd die in the waves upcoming to Masuta. I honestly thought I might die at Sanctum Guardian because I just didn't know how to do it. However, so far we are at 0 deaths and we're on the way to Sieru. Obviously this final wave isn't the most difficult of waves. It is what it is. It's a relatively easy wave. It's literally just slapping these stupid pillars and teleporting out. I don't know why they made the last wave so simple for ED1. They don't clearly realise with ED2 and ED3 that final wave should be more substantial. But yeah, I don't know why they didn't think that for ED1. I think that would be the case. Anyhow, it's time for the fight that I thought would make or break this run, which is the joys and the eternal joys of Sieru. So, bloody Sieru. Obviously, the big issue that I thought we'd have here is getting the crystals down, doing enough damage to get the crystals down on his back. I was really, really concerned about that. I knew for a fact we weren't going to one-cycle any of the crystals. It was going to be do as much damage as I can and then drop down and kill off the little black slime things and stop those ultra heals. However, I didn't know if I would be able to get it down to half HP each time the crystal, or if it'd be doing 3 cycles per crystal. And if it ended up being 3 cycles per crystal, that was going to be a nightmare. Fortunately we could do about half of a crystal's HP in 1 cycle. And I did realise that when a crystal died, what I could have done is let the Uber heals go in and then slap the next one a little bit, drop some Dominion mines, and move down. Now again, we are abusing everything we possibly can think of to get these kills. Obviously we've got the Weapon Poison plus, we've got the Cinderbane gloves. Boots, we are not using laceration boots because legacy, no abilities. So we're just using the Trim Masterwork for that HP absorb, for the set effect for the HP absorb. Again, we are using Dread Nips, we are using Dominion Mines for things where they're appropriate, especially for Sierra for the crystals. The Dominion Mines were a huge lifesaver. Whenever the arrows on the floor were going through, we were trying to make sure, I mean, it didn't do it initially as much as I should have done, but at the back end especially, we were making sure that we switched to the Divine Spirit Shield and just limited the amount of HP that we took. Because this fight was always going to be a long one. We're just trying to constantly watch everything and deal with those mechanics. Again, the more you deal with those mechanics and the more you just watch your HP, you're laughing, and you'll get through the fight slowly but surely. So here we're doing the standard thing. We've got to walk up to the crystal, we drop a Zara's Godsword spec alongside 2 Dominion Mines and a Dreadnip. We then switch to the Dragon Dagger, using the General Manure Potion, Dragon Dagger special attack 4 times, then switch to the Zara's Godsword and start slapping away until the second we see the first of these slimes come out. Then, as you would for any solo, you just deal with those slimes as much as you can, stand and wait around for the next set. I did start putting Soul Split onto the back end because I was getting a bit more confident, because this was this was my 3rd Sieru solo ever. And I really did think, I mean, when I was doing the runs, I quite literally said to the stream that if we get the Sieru kill, we will be getting to Ambassador that evening. I really didn't think I would ever get the Sieru kill, I'll be perfectly honest. I thought this challenge is going to be stopped and proven impossible by this boss. It wasn't stopped and proven impossible by this boss. We did get the kill. We got the kill. There's only like maybe 10 minutes left of the video, less than that. I'm sorry, the Sieru fight was long. I've made it at 4 times speed for as much of it as I can. It was a long fight. It's 36 minutes. It was a 36-minute fight. 36 minutes of surviving against this guy. I mean, personally, that's obviously atrocious, but I'm impressed that I managed to even live that long against this boss. Especially when you consider the amount of mistakes that I made during the fight of, getting hit by smokes, getting hit by the arrows, running into stuff that I really shouldn't run into. But yeah, you deal with it, it's fine. We ended up as well getting this kill with 0 deaths, which was just amazing. So we are showing the full first crystal, by the way, on 2 times speed, and the remaining 2 are going to be on 4 times speed, just to show exactly what was happening to deal with that first crystal, and then it's gone, it's blown up, it's dead. And the next video will be Elite Dungeons 2, which I'm excited for. Elite Dungeons 2 I knew was going to be a bit of a walk, because I have done an Elite Dungeons 2, or had before this challenge, in Legacy before with melee only. I've also done it in Ranged Legacy, to be honest. Elite Dungeons 2 is really quite easy. when you know it well enough. But you can say that about any boss, I suppose. So again, we're just slowly whittling away here at Sierra. Obviously there is a lot of damage to do, and Legacy being Legacy, it's very difficult to actually do it. But we're just gonna, we keep fighting. We finally got it phased again, so we're just gonna hopefully. Now at this point, my heart was pounding, hoping that I would actually be able to get this first crystal down in 2 cycles, because that would mean it would end up being a 6-cycle kill. Fine, it's a kill. A kill is a kill. So that went down about as these blobs are coming out, which was just amazing. So again, I'm panicking, and it was about this moment that I realised I could have left them alive and started slapping the final crystal a little bit. But it happens. It happens. It was a learning curve. It was all a massive learning curve for me. So you just leave it. Again, obviously at this point I've realised that I can leave them alive and let them go in, and it's not really going to affect me too much. So we're now at the final part of the fight. I say the final part of the fight. We've got 2 more crystals to go, but at this point we know that we have the rhythm to get those crystals dead, which was fantastic news for me, because it meant that we could get the crystals dead and get the kill. What was not an easy kill. It was stressful and it was difficult. And at any point I was constantly telling myself and chat that I could still make a mistake and die at any second. And as the kill went on and on, I was praying more and more, obviously, that wouldn't happen, because I would have cried. I would have probably cried, yeah. Say if I was 30 minutes into that fight and I died, I would have cried. I know it. I'm man enough to admit that. So, just as we're starting to finish off here, there's not really much more to say about this fight. Again, we were just watching the adrenaline, making sure that we had that special attack bar available for all the time when we went up to go deal with the crystals, so that we could instantly drop the Zara's God Sword spec and the Dreadnought and the Dominion Mines, and then go straight into the Dragon Dagger special attacks each time we went up, just because that had clearly worked to get it done, get each crystal done in a 2-cycle format. So that's what we were focusing on, and it was great. I can't believe we actually got this kill. It was really good fun, was this, and I didn't actually celebrate as much as I thought I would for getting ED1 done with 0 deaths. I thought I'd go a bit mental, but I think it was the fact that I hadn't actually died in the end that made me not get as excited, just because it was a case of, oh wow, that was easier than I thought, and it wasn't. I just planned for it really well, and I'd theory crafted the ever-loving hell out of everything to do with this challenge before I even started it, and worked out roughly what I'd need. Now those plans did change a little bit from that theory crafting for one of the bosses only during the fight. It was Ambassador, of course it was Ambassador. Ambassador was a nightmare of a fight. It really, really was difficult, but we got it. That's the key thing there, and we did get it in the end. So as this is finishing up, we're just finishing up the fight here, I do want to say thank you all for watching, thank you for stopping by and, getting to the point of being 24-25 minutes into a video about Elite Dungeons 3. Well, not even Elite Dungeons 3, it's Elite Dungeons 1 at the moment, but it is that full Elite Dungeons Trilogy. Now there is going to be 2 more videos, I will link them in the description below, for the Elite Dungeons 2 and the Elite Dungeons 3 runs. Now they were done back to back, and if we get them, and if it all is successful, if it is even possible to do those 3 runs and all 3 dungeons in Legacy, you will see that we did do it all in one. We would in theory get the Elite chest or whatever at the end of the Ambassador kill, if it's even possible to get it. Quick shout out to Detox PVM, I'll put the description link to their Discord in the description. This is an absolutely fantastic non-toxic community for teaching PVM, and I say non-toxic, it is genuine. The whole point of it is it's no toxicity, learner friendly, really, really fun PVM Discord, and absolutely great guys. Strongly recommend giving them, looking into that. They'll teach you anything. It's simple rules. It's brilliant. Again, shout out to my mod, because I love the guy, Mr. Iddles. He doesn't stream or anything like that, but he's an absolutely fantastic player, really, really nice guy. And some of these kills wouldn't have been possible without him, since he was helping me theorycraft them throughout, and he does deserve the recognition. And again, if you want to see any more content like this, any more just general PVM content, I don't always do Legacy, promise. And just a bit of memes, have a bit of fun, please stop by the stream. That's DokuraRS on twitch.tv. Again, just stop by, the link will be in the description below. Please feel free to just come along, have a good time. We have fun. We mean quite a bit, and I'm a bit of a shit PVMer, but we have fun, so please come stop by the stream at some point. It'd be wonderful to see you there, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.